Hey guys, sitting down here. This is gonna be my chapter review to Nanatsu no Taizai, or the Seven Deadly Sins, Fragment of Chaos. This is chapter 399 or 339. And this was one of those. This was a chapter where I thought there were cool visuals and cool things happening, all the while being very aware of the fact that this is this is all bullshit, and the story is taking a complete turn. Power scaling. We thought power scaling was bad anyway. Power scaling has gotten even worse, boys and girls. So let's get into it. I thought, like I said, there were some really cool moments, and I was like, God damn, this is pretty sick, especially with Arthur. But then I was like, but yeah, come on, man. Like, really, are we doing this right now? So we start off with Arthur still in pain. Obviously, his arm's been chopped off. One other thing, this chapter was really, really weird in terms of the drawings. I think it's like one of those My Hero Academia chapters where I think Horikoshi he was under time constraints and he didn't really complete the chapter. It looked more sketch-like. This is very similar in the sense of a lot of the characters with darker hair, darker clothes, and stuff like that simply didn't have any of it shaded in. I mean, like, it's weird because on the first page we have Elizabeth's shoes shaded in, but we don't have Merlin's hair or her jacket or her boots shaded in at all. Like, there's no shading in a lot of these panels, which was super weird. I at first thought it was a thing because they were in this chaos dimension, is what I assumed, and then when they broke out of it, the first thing we see is, I think, Diane's or someone's hair color returned, but then the person next to them should have had dark hair as well. I think it's Merlin, and her hair wasn't dark. So it's just a really weirdly shaded, drawn chapter. The artwork was still good, but I was saying that Arthur's legs on the first panel look really weird. But yeah, so the drawing and the artwork and the shading and everything this chapter were severely off. Anyway, everyone's surprised that, oh my god, this cat bit off Arthur's arm. The Lady of the Lake is just like, yeah, that monster, its target is Arthur. I didn't notice what it was because its power and appearance is so different from its former self. So the explanation for what the Kath Palug is, we all knew it was the Kath Palug for quite a while now. So that's not exactly something I'm going to rip into Nakaba about, because it's literally called Kath. It wasn't going to be anything else. But it says, born from the once mother. I don't know what the fuck that means. I assume born from the mother of chaos, or born from the... Yeah, born from the mother of chaos, let's say. Well, I think. And reincarnated from greed and obsession for power. I don't know what the heck that means. So, seeking to be the Chaos King for itself, the tyrant beast who challenged chaos, Kath Palug. So, this initial description is my first real issue. What the hell does that even mean? So, born from the once mother, I don't know what that is, and then in commas chaos. So the once mother, chaos, and then another comma, meaning that chaos is what it was born from. I'm not sure what the hell's the once mother part mean. I'm so confused at this. This isn't really a Nakaba issue. This is more a translation issue. What the heck does that even mean? Then reincarnated from greed and obsession for power. Reincarnated from what though? Like, was it already alive before it was? Well, it had to have been alive in some form before it was reincarnated from this greed and obsession for power. But was it something that challenged chaos before it was reincarnated, and then when it reincarnated, it was stronger and it challenged chaos again? Even though it was born from chaos. You have to see my confusion here. I don't know what the hell that's supposed to mean. Maybe someone can clarify this. Griever, what the hell does that even mean, bro? So, and then it says, seeking to be the Chaos King for itself, the beast to challenge chaos was Kath Palug. And we got exactly what I said from last chapter, and that cat-headed beast with like a lion's tail or something like that, like the body of a lion, horse's legs or something like that. Even though it's not quite as hybrid as I thought it would be. It looks more just like a lion with its fur shaven off and a weird-ass tail and then an oversized head. So it looks like a Chernobyl lion. Let's call it the Chernobyl lion. That's more what it looks like than like a chimera centaurish kind of thing, which is what I imagined. But I did call this out last chapter after having read someone's suggestion on Reddit of look at the definition of what a Kath Palug is, and then you go and see one of its iterations, because it wasn't always thought of to be like that, or looking like that. So apparently it had lost during the fight with Chaos and was banished, but it still continued its misdeeds. So it was sealed by the goddess clan. So that straight away tells us the goddesses knew about it. At least the supreme deity. The supreme deity seems to have been the one in charge of sealing it away. But this comes back to the idea of it's not something. This idea of chaos isn't something that was so secret, so hidden under the rug that nobody else knew about it. The goddess clan literally sealed away this chaos eating thing, and it challenged chaos directly. I think it's a product of chaos. It literally, they sealed it away. They knew what chaos was. So the fact that everyone's like, oh, chaos, the fuck is going on? I'm just like, yeah, that doesn't really make much sense. Anyway, so it lost its fight against chaos and was banished from where? I'd love to know where it was banished from. Was this a different land? It's a different time for sure. We go to Ban here. His suit or his onesie, I forgot, his clothes are actually shaded in, which is cool, but Meliodas isn't. And then you see the legs of Arthur, they're shaded in. So they're all telling each other now, be careful, we don't know what the identity of this thing is. Arthur, just having gotten his arm bitten the hell off, like ripped off between the creature's teeth, looks at Kath after having been healed by Elizabeth, or at least the bleeding stopped. He goes up to Kath and he's like, wait, it might still be friendly. So he goes to Kath and he's like, you got to have a reason for doing this. You protected me with your body one time. And Kath is there with like his deformed ass face and his teeth and tongue all lolling out and stuff like that. And he just confirms that he was waiting for Arthur to awaken the power of chaos and then eat him. And if he'd eaten Arthur before that, he wouldn't have tasted any better. He wanted to wait for Arthur to awaken. So this goes back to that idea of what did what was his name? Oh my god, the samurai-esque looking dude, Nanashi. Yeah, that was his name. Yeah, Nanashi. What was he talking about when he said, so long as you have that cat-like creature, that thing with you'll be safe. You're not gonna die. That's what he said to Arthur. That's what he said to himself about Kath, Palug, and Arthur. And now that's looking kind of shady, especially by the end of this chapter. So Arthur's all like, oh man, I gotta kill my best friend. So Kath Palug is like, yeah, I'm gonna eat you now. And then the seven deadly sins, this is the major issue I had with this chapter. They're just observers. This power scaling has now reached such a degree that they have instantly been brushed aside. They could not do anything. They did jack and shit this chapter, and not because they were unaware, because they were shocked or anything like that. They literally did jack and shit because they were incapable of doing anything. They couldn't do anything in the face of this chaos and in the face of this world warping, area building power that both of these guys have, Arthur and Kath Palug. So literally Meliodas is just telling everyone, he's like, oh shit, we're gonna be pulled in. And then we get this very like Percy Jackson Sea of Monsters looking thing. That's, yeah, I've watched those movies. Whoops. Very not very well, much like this, it's not very loyal to Arthurian or Greek mythology legend. So they're all sucked into this, like, into the throat of the Kath Palug, essentially, I think, which is in the ground now, because he's changed the reality of the world so that his maw essentially is the ground, and they're being sucked like basically quicksand into the throat of the Kath Palug. And Meliodas has to remind everyone, he's like, shit, be careful, this isn't an illusion. Merlin does an extermination raid. Even Merlin couldn't do anything here, which is, Merlin is usually the one that can do anything whenever she wants. She fires an extermination raid, doesn't do shit. Bond tries to do stuff, it doesn't do shit. Diane says something, doesn't really make any difference. King actually makes a good point. They're without their sacred treasures, and they're all still weary from the fight with the Demon King. Weary from the fight with the Demon King. Which one are you actually talking about? And then we see Arthur. So the seven deadly sins, they're all trying to do something. They can't do jack shit. Well, they can do jack shit. They can't do jack shit. They can't do jack shit. And then Arthur, one more time, he's like, I'm going to give you one more chance. You big Chernobyl lion looking thing. I'm going to ask you, what am I to you? Kath is like, you're my food, delicious food, so let me eat you without any disturbance. So Arthur's like, I'm going to kick the shit out of you. This is what I was talking about. We see a flash. Suddenly, Meliodas is, like, his over jacket, his khadi, what do you even call it? His jacket, his blazer kind of thing. That's shaded in. But Merlin, when she's part... Well, actually, no, this is Diane over here. Her hair shaded in. Now she's sat on top of King. and then you see Merlin in the back with her hair not shaded. So it's really weird artwork and vibration. I was gonna say really weird artwork, really weird shading. Anyway, we see this black hole kind of thing, which is the dimension that the Catapalo created and where everyone was. The Lady of the Lake is like, oh, I feel a vibration. This is it, boys. We're about to hit freaking Mach 20. I'm not even sure if that's got to be pretty fast. But what we see once that dimension we see lines going through that dimension as the dimension shatters. And what we're told by the Lady of the Lake is when the key finishes completing its duty, the Holy Sword will become the true Holy Sword and return to its owner. So essentially, the sword that Arthur always had was Excalibur, but it hadn't unlocked its true potential because Arthur hadn't unlocked his true potential. So much like Ichigo, when he didn't know the truth about himself, when he didn't know the truth about his powers and stuff like that, and he didn't know that, you know, a Bankai could be more than a Bankai, and Teeth Kubo really just started spewing shit. We're getting more of that kind of stuff, but this one's actually better than the Bleach stuff, which is, we know that Arthur, he didn't really know anything about his powers, and that his powers have unlocked. The sword has unlocked with him, and he's now holding the true variant of the Holy Sword. This is Excalibur in its true state. And what I loved about this, what I thought was really well done, was that the sword, it's being formed from these little wings of darkness and darkness and light. I assume you'd call them, but essentially depicting, you know, the demons and the goddesses, and it's kind of just fusing and coalescing to make this sword. And I thought that was epic. What I didn't like about this was, and you can see the sword, even the cross guard, that's what it's called, the cross guard. It's half of it is black, the other half is white or a lighter color, and same with the hilt. So, kind of depicting that, that chaos, that nature of both light and dark. But what I don't like about this, and what people have been mentioning, and I agree with, is the fact that the whole point of Arthur was that, Excalibur was essentially his one for all. Each king that had used it prior to him, essentially all their techniques, their skills had been stockpiled into this sword, and everyone else after that would use it. And then Arthur was the chosen one amongst these guys from this line of kings, and he was the one that could utilize all of their abilities, kick the shit out of everyone. He was going to be the strongest human, and it would have been fine if he'd come back and he was like Bond level or something like that. Maybe you don't hold me to that, but it would have been fine if he accessing all the abilities in that sword made him immensely sick. Not like on the level of the Sins. I would have been happy with on the level of the Sins, maybe above people like the non-physical types like Galtha. Maybe above people like King in terms of just straight physicality, maybe equal to Ban, like I was saying. That would have been awesome. But what we got is almost like Arthur isn't really, he's not just the pinnacle of humanity, he's the pinnacle of everything now. He's basically the strongest thing there. And that's why if people are encouraged by this chapter, like, oh yeah, we're gonna go and get the supreme deity, Arthur can body bag anyone. The Sins were useless in this fight against Catapalo. He absolutely demolishes it. Spoiler alert in a couple pages. And the Supreme, they all had difficulty. The Sins had difficulty against the Demon King. Arthur hasn't even broken a sweat. The only reason he faints is because he's literally missing an arm. And the Lady of the Lake said, go reclaim Arthur's arm, and we'll get to that actually. But what I don't like is that Arthur is now kind of like this. It's not Arthur being a human and then with the power of humanity backing him, he becomes this amazing king, this powerful figure. He's, oh yeah, you're a product of this chaos, light and dark. So it kind of ties into that demon goddess realm kind of thing, and that's why you're powerful, not because you were human and you were chosen to utilize the powers of all the previous kings, not because of that. So I really think that destroys the original purpose of Arthur, which was he's from the line of humanity, and he's going to be the most powerful. He's going to be the pinnacle. Just like Escanor. And then we found out that Escanor was actually, his powers derived from a goddess. But that was fine. Arthur's meant to be that kind of leader of humanity, not Escanor. So I think that really robs and destroys what Arthur's story is supposed to be. But once again, that's poor storytelling and writing by our boy Nakaba. Anyway, Kath is there bleeding out. He's like, I can't stop drooling, let me eat you. So Arthur's just there like, okay, I'm not going to regret this shit. He literally slices straight through Cath Palug in one swipe. And I wasn't aware that Arthur was left-handed, but apparently he is. And if he wasn't left-handed before this, I haven't checked. Someone check that real quick. If he wasn't left-handed before this, then that's absolute bullshit. That he can just utilize his left arm and be as powerful as he was here. He's utilizing it as well as I would my right arm, but I'm right-handed. The only caveat to that and the only explanation to that would be remembering what Excalibur's abilities and what it allows Arthur to do. Many of the previous kings might have been left-handed and utilized Excalibur in their left hand, so there's a chance that Arthur could very well be pretty much ambidextrous at this point. He can use his right hand as well as his left hand, with no benefit or disadvantage to either one. Cath ignites in a ball of flame, literally dies the same way as Cell, and then is propelled flying away through this weird chaos created city that they're now in. Huge explosion, and I think that's the end of Arthur's arm, you know. So that's the other thing I want to know. Where the hell is Arthur's arm? So he's now destroyed Cath. Cath has been propelled far away in pieces. Can he regenerate? Who knows? That's a story for another time, right? Because if Chaos defeated Cath and then banished it, why didn't Chaos just kill it? It was the only challenge that Chaos had, right? Why did it need to be banished? Is there some sort of regen here that we're simply unaware of? Anyway, Arthur's there, looking cool as fuck. He turns around to everyone. He's like, are you all alright? We get some shading this panel, actually, so it looks kind of cool. He collapses. Merlin is panicked once again. Anytime Arthur stubs a toe, Merlin is panicked. I really liked the actual the panel we see here on page 15 where it's just blacked out. So the background is pure white, and you see a silhouette of Merlin, silhouette of Arthur, and a silhouette of the new Excalibur. It looks pretty cool. Anyway, back to poor shading in this panel. Elizabeth's talking to Merlin, saying we should really get Arthur back to the kingdom. Arthur's like, Merlin's like, you're a good person. Thank you for treating Arthur, but you know, this is my decision. I betrayed you guys. I can't travel around with you guys anymore, and I can't get you guys involved with whatever's about to go down. So she has an idea of where she's going to go with this, whatever's going to go down. So she says, everyone, Captain, thank you for all you've done. Get out of here. Clicks her fingers. They all vanish and go back to the kingdom. Now, I'm pretty sure she did this to Galen once, and he just jumped all the way back in like an instant. So I'm hoping Meliodas kind of does the same thing, and even Ban kind of does the same thing, and they just zip back and they're just like, yo, you can't get rid of us that easy unless you're going to transport us to the other side of the planet. So she's there saying, this is fine, this is the path I picked. My Lord Arthur, I shall protect you even if I lose my life. So this goes back to that thing of, you know, she had this thing with Meliodas, but her true goal is something tied into Arthur. So where in her life did she meet Arthur, and when did she start addressing him as my lord? You know, when did he become such a pivotal figure that this character that we know, Merlin, became subservient to him? Like she's gonna protect him even if she would lose her life. She wouldn't do that for any of the sins, and she's known all of them for she's known at least 2 of them for 3,000 years. So she wouldn't really do that for Meliodas. She wouldn't do that for Elizabeth. No matter how much you may think, she hasn't really displayed that ever. And even though she addresses Meliodas as captain, she's not really subservient to him. But to Arthur, she addresses him as my lord. She's willing to lay down her life. She's willing to help this guy out no matter what. Why is she beneath him in hierarchy? What has he done? What has she seen? What does she know that we don't know that makes her this way? So that's what I thought this chapter. Like I said, the visuals and stuff like that, seeing Arthur with his Excalibur looked awesome, but it was like there was a duality to this chapter in the sense of some of it looked cool. Cath Palug looked kind of cool, but then there was also the, what the hell is this kind of, like, why was it a challenge to chaos? Where did it come from? Why was it banished instead of just killed? The goddesses did know about chaos there, and it should have been something more commonplace in terms of their knowledge about it. Elizabeth shouldn't have been shocked about it. Definitely not Meliodas as well. Why was Arthur able to use his left hand? Stuff like that. Why are the Sins suddenly unable to do anything? They were the most powerful beings after defeating the Demon King, and now they're suddenly, you guys will get washed by Cath because you're unable to warp reality, and that's basically the best power you can have. The most broken power you can have in this whole thing is okay. As soon as you're able to control chaos, GG. Everything else you can do is beneath that. So the sins have now been washed up, basically. They're washed up, and Arthur is the strongest, and that's what annoys me. I was happy with Arthur going the way he was going in terms of becoming the strongest king, becoming the strongest human. I wouldn't even have minded if he'd been, like I said, Ban level, even though Ban had that stay in purgatory. So I would have been happy if maybe he was somewhere beneath Ban, but stronger than people like, well, physically at least, than people like King, and then with that ability to reality warp and stuff like that. But it's such a broken ability that all the sins start panicking and shit like that, and they can't do anything against it. So that just makes him completely way beyond anything these guys can imagine, and they're unable to do anything, which is what annoyed me. And I think I've said that about 15 times now. Why are these reviews all going for 20 minutes? I swear it's only been 10. Anyway, let me know what you guys thought of this chapter. Let me know what you guys thought of this review. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. I'm going to go watch Griever's review. You guys should do that too. Just to see if he agrees with me, and if he doesn't, why not? What did he think of the chapter? So I'll see you guys in a bit.